Mouz didn't make me blush earlier. Freaking MaNa certainly did. I just realized he tweeted about us too, giving us a very complimentary tweet. So thank you, MaNa, if you ever watched this VOD. But we are into the thick of it, guys. As you see here in the top right corner of the map, it is 4-2. Currently, Mouz leading over Western Wolves. Western Wolves, for those who don't know, by the way, the #1 holder, the #1 position so far in the overall Acer Team Story Cup. So for them, a loss perhaps not such a big deal, but for Mouz Sports, someone who needs to secure their position within the top 4, this could be a really big day for them, this huge win. Now, getting into introductions, by the way, I'm Rifkin. Thank you guys for tuning in Base Rate TV. I hope you've enjoyed the broadcast today, and I hope you've been enjoying the ad-free broadcast. But spawning here in the lower right corner of the map, playing for Mouz Sports, sporting that red, it is going to be MaNa. And, right now, I'm sure he's having, like, post-traumatic stress disorder, just like, oh god, not again. Akalon Waste versus the Zerg, not again, no! His opponent in the upper left, though, playing for Western Wolves. He is going to be the Korean god known as Czech. Now, MaNa already stealing 5 minerals, off to a great start this game. Don't know how much he's going to necessarily get done here as far as Pro Paras goes, but gonna try and be annoying for certain. We do have the pool coming out very early here for Czech. He wants to be very safe against Protoss player. I mean, typically you don't see a lot of Zerg go hatch first versus Protoss in general, whether it's A, for the Zerglings to deal with a pylon that comes down to harass, or B, because you're worried about a cannon rush. Not that that's necessarily what MaNa would do, but certainly within his capabilities, he is going Forge before Nexus. But juking out a little bit here on the natural. Yeah, puts the pylon down, backs on out. Of course, goes to the third immediately because he knows upon doing so, Zerg players have no problem taking a quick third. Oh, backs up for now though. Czech puts that down. There's no Overlord. MaNa could certainly try and do something cheeky if he wants, but with the links coming out, actually, that's going to not be a possibility any longer. Running up the ramp, going to run into the Zerglings. Runs past them. Okay, second time not going to be so lucky, and on creep, this probe will probably go down. He really wants to see if that second gas has been taken, of course, but
First blood.
Not going to be options. Not going to be an option. Meanwhile, cannon's on the way. Czech's not going to get past this by any means. He's going to poke up the ramp to see if the cannon's there, but of course we'll pull back immediately to make sure they can keep these links outside of this opponent's base. It's very important to keep that scouting information available, but ooh! One ling will sneak into the main. I did not actually know that the timing of that could be so perfect. Actually, the cannon, I think the cannon reaches here, doesn't it? I don't actually know. I don't play Protoss enough to experience this dilemma. But okay, Zergling doesn't want some love. He's gonna back away from the kiss of that probe, and looks like it is. Oh, it was in range, but he slips out of it before the cannon can arm. You guys saw that. It twitched. It knew what was up. But getting up here, he sees no tech. Unfortunately for Czech, there's nothing for him to reveal just yet. However, if he keeps this thing alive, he can slowly chip away at a probe if he wants to get really risky, or he can hide it and just try and scout again later. Either way, until the Mothership Core or a Stalker's out, a Zealot will not actually be able to catch the Zergling. 3 bases coming out for Czech back at home, though, playing it pretty darn safe. No gas thus far. Well, gonna be just annoying for the time being. Not a lot that it's kind of unfortunate for Czech. There's not a lot he can do, but there's not a lot MaNa can do to really deal with this either. It's just an annoyance that has to be dealt with. Now, of course, if you aren't aware of that reference I made earlier today, because I guess someone on Twitter has sent me a message about this, MaNa versus Firecake, casted on WCS by my good friend Penguin and his partner Maddles, was like a 3-hour plus match, PVZ. And I believe it was even the same spawn locations. Not that I expect that will happen here. Czech is a really good player, and I don't think it'll go to the Swarm host for him. But even if it does, MaNa has probably had a little more experience in that situation. But okay, Zergling's taken care of, so now MaNa can start freely putting his tech down. Of course, a little hesitant. You don't want to throw down a Stargate. You don't want to throw down a Robo. You don't want to give away your tech so blatantly when someone's watching you. So a little bit delayed due to that Zergling, but not so much that it's really going to cause a difference at the end of the game. Of course, when you open Forge Expand, you're pretty safe. You're pretty safe for like the first 10 minutes. There's not a lot that's going to come your way to shut you down. I mean, if your opponent brings roaches at you, you photon overcharge. You put some force fields down. You hold it, no problem. Zerglings, forget about banelings. They're never even used in this matchup. And, okay, the poke here. No metabolic boost on the way, so should be able to walk away with a good chunk of this. Zealot will get surrounded, sadly, but should be able to kill a couple lings. Nope, only gets one. Ooh. Gonna try to kite around the mothership core. But yeah, MaNa is not in any real danger, which is kind of nice. But Czech is also not in any real danger, and you never want to let a Zerg player go uncontested. I know a lot of people go like, oh, Protoss is the OP race, don't let them deathball 200-200, but the reality is it's the Zerg player that has to be kept in check. Ha! That one was on purpose. I'm sorry. Because the last thing you want them to do is spread create freely. The last thing you want them to do is have like 5 bases while you're on 2, and if they just go for this Hydralisk opening, it's kind of hard to deal with. Colossus are not exactly an easy go-to build. I mean, Colossus, fantastic against Hydralisk, of course, but expensive, slow. They don't come out till later, and 7 gateways being thrown down. MaNa up to 8. Putting a pylon down looks to want to be a little bit aggressive, but again, that Hydralisk then's finishing up. So by the time MaNa, warps in units to go across the map, there's going to be Hydralisk waiting for him, and Hydralisk crush any sort of gateway units, with the exception of force fields, but of course force fields from sentries don't exactly count as gateway units, I suppose. The sentries are the gateway units. Still, metabolic boost not done yet, finishing up here in just a second, but with all these sentries warped in, MaNa just has to wait one more round. Overseer should get in and see all the gates. He sees 3, but if he goes south, he'll see quite a few more hidden. And it's really important that he actually sees this. Checking him, probably chip away the rocks, see if he can knock that down. Kills the probe. No third base for free, and this is really unfortunate because I don't think he knows this attack is coming, and this is a large attack. This is not some small attack. This is the 8 gateways, guys, and MaNa's not in any trouble. He can knock down these rocks. He can actually keep the lings out from swarming in, and even if the lings get on top of the army, guess what? Bam, mothership core recall saves just about everything. Not an issue, but. Oh, I would love if he didn't finish those rocks. Oh, I would have loved if he had got them really low and finished them later. But here are the Hydralisks. If he force fields them in, he can fight. If he force fields them out, he's going to have to wait for another round of force fields to actually engage. Because these Stalkers, they do not have Blink. Without Blink, it's very hard to engage into this. But looks like with the Guardian Shield, he's going to take down the first couple. But the DPS from the Hydralisk is so high. But they are glass cannons. So Czech will be forced to come back, and I'm like an indecisive girl trying to decide what to eat. I want this. No, maybe that. Maybe this. It's not so good for there. But drone's being pulled. Time warp goes down. Zealot's going to be on the front lines to try and buffer for this, but the mothership core is taken out. Not enough energy for a recall, so not a big deal. But focusing down the Hydralisk needs to be a must. Shooting the Overseer, even wasting 1 or 2 shots on it. That's the difference of killing 3 Hydralisks versus none. And because of this, Czech overwhelms his opponent with so many forces, and now trapped by his own rocks. MaNa is forced to take a very unfortunate fight. A nice force field split, actually. Does cut the Hydralisk in half. This is going to get him a lot more kills than he should have been allowed to. Continue to warp him with a few more units, but not enough to get enough force fields out, I fear. Yeah, if he could have gotten that second sentry out a little bit sooner, he could have force fielded this off, but now going to be taken care of quite nicely. Resources lost in the end. Not looking so good for MaNa. That attack was pretty dedicated, and he did not get a lot done. Unfortunate, but not out of the game yet. He's got another mothership core coming up. He's got a robo facility on the way. Colossus won't be too far out. I mean, he's okay. MaNa is okay, but he's not exactly safe. Can he get enough out in time? Actually, the Colossus is gonna be so far off. The Hydras actually might go uncontested. Mothership core is not enough energy for a photon overcharge, so I take back my statement of okay. MaNa's actually in grave danger. He can get some good force fields off. Maybe he can hold this initial hit, but of course there's not enough force fields to block off the entire ramp. And there's just so many Hydralisks coming in. If he loses to SimCity here, there's even less force fields available to lock this whole area off. In fact, segmenting it off is going to be an impossibility. MaNa in some... not enough for photon overcharge, just enough for 1 time warp. Couple force fields go down, but perhaps a little uselessly. Beautiful contaminate, by the way, on the gateways, on the warp gates. While this goes in, going to limit the reinforcements of MaNa, which he so desperately needs. Every unit counts, but good game is going to be called in check. We'll take another victory, bringing this 4-3 for Western Wolves. I hate having to update all these scores. Like, if I did it on one, it'd be nice if it would did it on them all. If it would done did it. Shook 'em up. But okay, unfortunate for MaNa, but he is taken out by Check. We'll see who Mouz sends out next. You know, versus Z, I would love to see Hero Marine. Hero Marine plays this really excellent, cool style right now, guys. I don't know if you've seen it. We got the pleasure of casting him in the Acer Team Story, or not the Acer, sorry, the Kaspersky Arena recently. He does this really cool thing with Thors that would absolutely go bananas over. But of course, for Mouz, they've got to assess who their best choice is, who's their best option, and I don't actually know who they have left available other than Hero Marine because I don't know the full roster of Mouz. But